You ready to start?
Yeah.
I should actually just paraphrase a little conversation we just had.
Here we go.
Which was basically like, if you don't want to clap at the end of his tunes, don't clap.
No, don't. Please.
Don't clap.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
No.
And if you disagree with anything he's saying, feel free to disagree. And basically, I think
I'd rather you disagree when I say it than save it for the end. That's what I meant.
So we kind of have a license to be a little bit more interactive.
Rowdy.
And I was going to say rowdy. You have
there you
license to
go.
be a bit more rowdy should you want to. If you just want to ask questions at the end like before, that's completely fine. But if something comes up while we're talking and you want to ask them, go ahead. So, very big welcome, please, Ivan Smagghe.
Well, now you can clap, yeah.
So I wanted to start off by asking you about your label, the new one, Les Disques de l'Amour.
Yeah, Les Disques de l'Amour.
LDLM. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is, in English it doesn't really work. In French it means death record, obviously, that you'll know. But it also means a killer record. So people always think I'm gloomy, I'm dark. It's not entirely true. It is true in many ways, but not totally true. It also means a killer record. That's what it means, really, in French, in slang.
You see, I didn't know that either. I just thought...
Well, no, you're not going to know everything, huh?
Of course not. I would not.
No.
I would not suggest I do. Anywhere close. But the label is quite different from the other label that you've been involved with.
Yeah.
And you're kind of fairly... There's like, how many releases through are you now?
4, 5's coming, 5, 6 at the end of the month. So it's fairly recent.
So what would be the thing that would make something suitable for this label?
It's a very good question. The answer is nothing. We kind of apply the rule of no rule. You know, if you have a label, there's two ways. Either you want to make one style, you want to put yourself in a box, unconsciously or consciously. I try not to put myself in a box consciously. I may fail, I agree. You know, people may recognize instantly what I want to do. But because there's two of us, we're trying not to do the same thing with each release or not to stick with one style. So I know it's a bit cliche. I mean, like the style of no style is now also a style. I don't know.
There's no escape.
No, there's no escape. There's no escape. But you can try not to make what I would call, we might come back on that, functional dance music, which I've got a lot of respect for. It's a different issue, but that might not be what I want to do as a label.
So what has come out on the label then? Some quite interesting artists.
Yeah, I mean, they're not very famous. I mean, the first release, which we'll play in a minute, was by 2 Italian kids called Margot, who've got a very interesting story. They used to be, and I like people with interesting stories. That's also one thing. You know, it's not only, people think it's only about the music. It's not really. You know, I like those kids for their music, obviously. I also like them because they used to be commercial DJs in Rimini. I don't know if any of you have been in Rimini. It's like, I don't know, it's like playing at Butlins, but in a kind of Italian way.
But a bit warmer.
Yeah, a bit warmer, you know, a bit cooler, a bit flashier, but they come from there. And then they started getting fed up with that. And they ended up with James Holden because they released stuff on Board and Community. And then James got too busy and he basically flogged them off to me. That's how it happened.
You passed them on?
Yeah, well, you know, that's how it happened, I'm telling the truth. So it's interesting to have people, like the next release is by the singer of Paranoid London, just random people, not necessarily famous, and with a tendency to be, some people would say weird. I wouldn't call them weird, but, you know, interesting people, you know. Not necessarily, the music may be boring to some of you, but the people are not. I'm pretty sure about that.
So can we hear something that which you are talking?
Yeah, that's the first. Sorry if I'm going to have to maybe skip through to get to the interesting bit, because, you know, electronic music sometimes got really boring intros. can tell you a little story about this. Does anybody know what language is he singing? No, me neither. I think they don't. I think it's sang in no language, which is why I actually signed this record. There's like, if no one... I don't know if it's half English, pidgin English, Italian English. No one knows. They won't tell me. Mm-hmm. They're very recluse guys. You know, they fight with each other. There's two of them. You know, it's like I don't know. It's maybe the old schematics of rock and roll bands. You know, they really hate each other. It's quite funny to watch, actually.
So how do you tend to communicate with Margot?
I don't. I don't anymore. Oh God, they're so hard to talk with. But that's also part of the fun, you know. You don't really sign people because they're easy to communicate with, no? I mean, you sign people because you fall in love with that song. That actually, we found that song in a James Alden set recorded on YouTube, and it took me about a year of hassling him because he couldn't remember, and then it took me another year in order to get through to them because they don't speak English and they don't want to do this and they don't want to do that, and one of them is a swimmer, the other one is a punk. It's like a nightmare, basically. You know, it's you know, like that's what you do if you've got a record label. You know, like nightmare's your life, basically.
So how do they feel now? Now they've been persuaded into your world, into your realm.
Well, I think they've left now. I've got no clue where they are now. Of course not. You know, that was our first release. They're part of those artists. I think there's a few like that you can catch for a little moment. It's like a glimpse into their world. James Holden had the same issue, or it's not actually an issue. That's why it's kind of nice with them. So you catch them like that, and then off they go. And I've got no clue. I mean, I know they're doing things with Prince Thomas. I sometimes hear, I don't think I'll ever do anything with them again. But that's not an issue. You know, a record is a moment. You know, that's it.
And you caught the moment.
Well, I caught this moment. I'm sure they're going to have... I mean... It's like going to the dentist and applying a molar, you know. Like, to get this was hard work, so, you know.
So you started as you meant to go on?
Yeah. Oh, no, so some... No, don't get me wrong, you know. Some other artists are really easy to work with. There's no... As I said, there's no rules, you know. You may also... how should I put that? That's going to sound really wrong, and you shouldn't take note on that. You can also sometimes put out music that you don't really like. Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. An interesting thought. So interesting. I forgot to raise my microphone.
Why not? You know.
So why would you put out music that you don't really like?
No, it's not that I don't really like it. It's like it might fit one of my little boxes. You know, I don't. Some people may have one box. I've got about 20,000. I get lost in them. So, you know, maybe a record I'm going to like more than another one. And then my partner's going to go, no, it's good. I'm going to no, it's not. Oh, but some people will like it. And I'm going, well, I don't care. I don't. You know, and then I've like little inner debate in myself. And sometimes, I mean, some records on the label I like more than others. I'm not going to tell you which ones. No. But... yeah, why not? I mean, a good record, for me, there's always been that thing. It's either there's two types of music, good and bad. And sometimes you can like bad music, or there's good music you don't like. And as a label manager, you need also to have that weird shift where you go, right, this is not totally maybe 100% me or 100% what... you know, I delete, but I think it's good. You know, it's a bit schizophrenic.
So, but really, I imagine what you're saying is that you can have this conversation about whether something is actually good or whether you like it, but the thing always has to be that you find it interesting.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly that. You know, so as I'm trying not to fit one genre or one tempo or one style. You know, they may be interesting in different ways. In some records, I'll find the attitude interesting more than the production. Like maybe the next one, which would be the next release, I really like the attitude, and like I was at mastering yesterday, and everything was out of phase. I was like, all right, we can't do anything with that. And that was probably my favorite release from the beginning, and I couldn't do anything with it. So we had to go from scratch. But that doesn't matter, because I know the guy. I don't know if any of you have seen Paranoid London live. Is the singer. They're punks. You know, that's what they are. So you deal with it. Mm-hmm. You know, not very important. Technicalities. You know, who cares? I mean, you have to care. You know, it's the other guy who cares, not me.
So you're bringing the punk side.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, we can actually, yeah. It's called Swan Virgin. You know, a Swan Virgin is a very interesting concept. It would take me hours to explain it. You'll Google it. You'll Google it when I've finished. So this is by the singer of Paranoid London, called Mutado Pintado, and it would be out at the end of the month. As I listen to it, I actually think it's really weird. Even though, yeah, well, you know, I suppose that's a good thing, right? You know, I can surprise myself. It's a very good thing. Yeah, I can surprise myself. Why am I putting that out? It's got easier remixes. Let's put it that way. That's also something you do, you know, that we try and do with this label, is not to have one. I mean, every release is different, but each release we try to have kind of different sounding things. For instance, this one we'll have a Nassid Arab remix and a Fabrizio Mamarella remix. So we try with each release to have inside the 12-inch different words. Like the idea of having 4 tracks that sound the same doesn't appeal to me. I once again, when I say doesn't appeal to me, I don't think it's bad. It's just not what I want to do.
Because I think, you know, one of the things that you do is you expand the edges of where the edges are and make sure that the things that are happening on the margins are as interesting and as varied as possible. Yeah,
well, there's a lot in that question. I'm not sure it even was a question.
It's more of an observation than a question.
Well, the margins, it's quite hard to describe. Am I really in the margins? I'm not sure. You know, where are the margins now? Let's put it that way. I try not to go for, as I said before, the functional aspect of dance music, because, you know, I think scrap everything you want. You know, dance music is functional music. Its function is to make people dance. End of the story. Then you can stretch that. So some people are going to dance on weirder things. Some people won't, you know, and some people, but not only me, people like Andrew or people like Errol.
You're referring to Andrew Weatherall?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we kind of thread in those waters. Like, it's like the murky waters, we call them, you know. It's like in between. We don't know, you know, you don't know, is it really good? Is it bad? There's also something I'm very fascinated with personally. You know, it's like, is it those records that are you sure is it bad or is it really good or is it really bad? Borderline records, borderline genres, feel things that doesn't fit anywhere. You know, I think for me these are the interesting, you know, records or songs or attitudes, you know.
So where does the reissues aspect of the label fit into that aesthetic?
Well, this one, the one we put out, it just comes from friendship, and because we did put out 12 of reissues of Israeli music. And, right, let's be a bit controversial there. Israeli music, and especially Israeli cold wave, is probably the last country, or genre plus country, that hasn't been dug out by English record diggers. And I know that for a fact. So I don't know why. You know, I'm not going to get into the Palestine, you know, but there is a massive Israeli cold wave culture. And I go there quite a lot. And with the Red Axis guy, and we were like, they were playing me stuff. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Because all the Belgian stuff, all the Italian stuff, all the French stuff, there's millions of CDs. There's a lot of things. And there's a gap. Why? You know, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. You know, I don't really know. I don't really know. And I think there's fantastic music. So we've done a 12, we're doing a second 12, and we'll do CD by the end of the year.
So what is the music that you've discovered, that you dug?
Well, actually, I didn't. They did. They were just feeding me stuff, and I was like, hang on a minute. I mean, I knew a couple of the tracks, like the Chromosome track that we might listen, but they were just like, have a listen to that. And I was like, this is really, really good. And no one heard it. No one's heard it. It still amazes me today that that whole scene has been, apart from Minimal Compact and a couple of other bands who went on European tours, but there's a whole scene that is strictly Israeli and known there. And those records, like the Tova Gertner that is on the 12, was like a top 10 hit in Israel. It's not something that I went in a car boot sale and found a white label. No. They're famous records, famous bands, just a completely, you know, occulted scene. Cool, you know. So
there's 2 tracks that have already come out.
3. There's 3, and then there will be 3 more in the summer, and then we're probably going to do a CD at the end. It's just also very complicated because we're doing the reissues legally. So some people are cool, like I actually met Tova Gertner when I was in Tel Aviv. She was really cool about it. But some people, you know, they don't, and I don't want to go down the bootleg way. That's a different way. We can have that conversation. It's not very interesting. So yeah, that's very, once again, very, very famous Israeli band. If you go to Israel and you talk to someone who knows about music, well, I think they'll know about Chromosome. I think you'd get the gist of it.
I wonder what your thoughts are then on reissues generally. If people are running labels and they're thinking about reissuing records, what are the kind of things that should make you want to reissue something? What makes a piece of music worthy of being reissued?
That it's not been reissued before is point one. We're going to put out, I think after the summer, a mix CD by myself and Nathan Gregory Wilkins, who I do the radio show with, channeling. That's going to be a double mix CD with no track listing. It'll be like the Psychic Magic guys did. You know, that's another way you can go. It's like the total secrecy. You know.
And this is a radio show you do on NTS.
Yeah.
Is it every other week?
It's every other week.
Other Tuesday.
6 o'clock. Yeah. So you can also go that way. You know, you don't. I mean, to be really honest, it depends what you want to reissue. You know, if you. I mean, I work with a distributor called Above Board, who are the main provider of 90s house at the moment. You know, they have to do things legally, but they're very clever in doing so, which, like, all their reissues actually look like the originals. I don't know if anybody of you have bought, like, a Ron Tretton Chez Damien number 49. Well, it's not the real thing. You know, it's a reissue that is made to look like the original. So you can go that way, or you can... There's the thing is, it depends what also you're going to reissue. I've got a fairly good chance that the things that me and Nathan are going to put on that CD, we won't get into trouble with, because there won't be the track listing. It's a mix CD. It's only 1,000 copies. You know, don't think too much. I mean, I did 2 CDs for Colette of re-edits of rare stuff, or even like stuff from now, and I just gave the guys a call, the guys I knew, and they were more than happy to, you know, give me the tracks for nothing, you know, because, I mean, it's 2 days, there's so little money involved in that anyway, and there's small labels, like people like us, you don't have to worry too much about that. I would first think about the idea and the content, then worry about the legalities. I mean, it's not a massive issue.
So in a kind of era of instant information and sort of instant access to knowing everything, what's the appeal of the secrecy of a no track listing?
Pose, I suppose.
A pose?
No, posing.
Okay.
Yeah, posing. Yeah, no, I'm joking, but no, it's just. Well, it's actually to say maybe that even in era of instant information, there's still a lot that you don't know. And there's still a lot that I don't know. And there's still a lot that any digger I know, and I know quite a few, and I know quite a few hard cases, that they don't know. I mean, the extent of records you can find that people don't know about is, I'm not sure it's limitless. I mean, I know some guys who know just about everything, but once in a while, you can, you know. I know that on the CD there'll be a couple of tracks that no one knows, or me and Nathan knows, or the guy who sold it. But there's a lot of records, a lot, and a lot of records that are not on YouTube, a lot of records that are not even on Disques, you know. It's, you know, but that goes back from another era of the way you would buy records. You know, it's an era of like going to, you know, dingy warehouses in Canada and like talking with really, really boring people over the phone, haggling, you know, from £100 to 80 quid for a record. You know, it's, you know, that kind of thing. Or also, because that's very important now. If you like old records, like my favorite old records I bought for nothing. Do not think that the records was a lot of money necessarily, and the good ones and the weird ones. That is a lie. I mean, I go on Disques and I see like an MK record or Kerry Chandler record going for £100. That is absolute. Sorry, you know, you can't. You find much more interesting records going for $1 than those. So there's a lot. You know, I suppose it's kind of fashion and things like that. But you just got to dig, you know. Some people hate it, some people like it. It's just easier now because you don't get, you know, when I was younger, you used to have, you called digger fingers, you know, from doing that. You know, you do that for 3 hours and you've got, you know, it's dead gone now.
So where are your favourite places now to find records?
Networks. It's oh, that's really boring now. It's just a network of people, of friends, you know, that would point you towards this, and you know, you get a phone call or you get an email. Oh, I found that. Do you want it? Do you want the swap? Blah 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 blah. It's really geeky stuff. It's really. But then you can also go to a car boot sale, and that's actually the people who sell you the record for quite a lot of money. Because I mean, I'm not going to lie, I don't, you know, I also buy records for, you know, if I'm going to buy a record for £80 from some people, I know they've bought it for 4 or 2, you know, because some people, that's their job, you know, that's what they do. You know, they get up at 5. They go to the car boot sale. I haven't got time to do that, sadly, anymore. So what you pay is for them to get up early. That's fair, it's fair enough. You know, if the record's good, you know, that's fine. You know, I'm happy to stay in bed and pay more money for the record. If the record's good, beware. Just don't go at their place, because they, you know, what they'll do, you'll have a nice cup of tea, they've got a really good hi-fi sound system, and I got conned, you know, I got conned many times. You know, yeah, have a listen to that, they know perfectly which bit to play. So, yeah, the best place is a good record shop. Normally, a good second-hand record shop is where you can have one deck, even if it's a shitty deck, and you can listen to yourself, not have the guy playing it to you, because that, you know, they know all the tricks. I know the tricks. I worked 10 years in a record shop. I know exactly why you need to play in order for, you know, the guy to buy it.
So, you know, you were a record shop guy for a long time.
I hated that, actually. But anyway.
You hated it?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
But I just wondered whether, like, a record shop guy can always tell another record shop guy, you know, is it like, can you always tell someone who's done their time behind the counter?
No. Like just like that? Let me see. No. No, you can. You can if you start talking with them, because it's the same. It's always the same bad stories. It's always the same. It's like, you know, how do you deal with the general public in the 90s on a Come Down Tuesday? It's how, you know, it's like, why, you know, why do you want to hear this? This is shit. I want to play you this. Why don't you want to buy that? You know, why do you want this one? It's, yeah, it's not, you know, I suppose it's not, I would actually not recommend it for music lovers. End of the story. It's an okay way if you're a student and you need to make money, but actually it's not, because when I actually did that, because I didn't have any money and I was a student and I was buying records, and what I ended up doing is actually giving all my wage back to the shop. So it's not a solution. If you want to make money, just do another job, buy the records, but don't work in a record shop. It's, I mean, you know, and actually it's not fun. It's not really fun. Sorry.
So what about DJing then? Where does that sit on the fun spectrum?
DJing. No, DJing. I think people will know by now that it's not always fun, and that it's not always glamorous, and that it's not always great. But let's face it, you know, I don't know of any other job that involves music and art that pays that well. You know, even at my level, which is not the, you know, hyper high level, but 2 days a week. So let's put that aside. I'm not going to complain. You know, it is a great job. It is a great job. After that, sometimes it's great fun on top of being a good wage. Sometimes it's not. But, you know, that's part of the game. But it actually took me, there was a moment it also depends on the music that's around. You go through phases. You know, sometimes you don't like the music that you can buy that is around, and well, you've got to ride it. You know, if that's really what you want to do, you've got to ride it. It's not always great, no, but most of the time, you know, it's better than working in a bank. You know, that's there's exciting places. You know, it also depends. I mean, I'm talking after 25 years. I'm not a good example. You know, it's 25 years of doing that. So 25, 23. I'm making myself older, but you know, so it's very, very exciting in the beginning. So if you want to go for it, go for it. I mean, it's also it's very different now from when I started. I mean, you know, the word career was evoked when I started. The word career, when I said that to my dad, you know, like that's going to be my career. I mean, you know, basically he didn't speak to me for 10 years. So, you know, it's a different thing now. You know, now there's a lot of money. You can go very, very fast. The only advice I would give, there's only one I ever give, is that if you really want to do that, just stick to your guns, you know, because if you don't, you might make a lot of money very quickly, and then you might fade away. Depends, you know. That is maybe what you want to do. I mean, I'm not going to give names, but there's very good story about people who, the majority of people think, you know, that's always what they wanted to do. You know, they always wanted to do that, and then they made money. No. They've always wanted to make the money, and that was their way. You know, so. You know, yeah. You know, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. It's a cool job though. I like it. I still like it now.
So can you tell us about a couple of things you've done recently? A couple of interesting gigs. There's a couple of things that come to my mind, but tell me maybe a couple of things that you've done, or shall I ask you about the ones which I've got in my mind?
Yeah, please. That'd be quicker.
Otherwise,
the ones I'm going to have to think quite hard.
Yeah. So the two things I was thinking about was you played at the last night of a very famous Amsterdam club called Trouw.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then not so long after that, you played a Bugged Out set, which was a kind of, I think Bugged Out do, where they asked people to bring their 5 favourite records. Right. Yes. So kind of, you know, high fidelity thing you might do at your friend's house versus a kind of classic, dirty Amsterdam warehouse.
Right, Trouw. That's a very good example, actually, and that's what I will always say is that it doesn't really depend on you. It doesn't really depend on the mood. It doesn't depend on the city. When I hear Berlin is great, I'm sorry, that's rubbish. Berlin is not great. There's great clubs in Berlin. There's great clubs anywhere. You know, it's all about the club where you play. And Trouw is a very good example. I actually didn't play the last one. We all did our last one because they had like 4 months of like ending and like, you know. I wasn't.
That's a long goodbye.
Yeah, it was a long goodbye for them because it was kind of becoming everybody's favorite club. So yeah, it's all about the club basically. And there are clubs where you kind of know it's going to be good. I mean, Robert Johnson, probably for years, was like, you know, like for me, the best club in the world. You know, some people beg to differ. You know, I don't like Panorama Bar. Well, that's, you know, that's my idea of things. So, but it's all about the club, not the city, not the thing. And well, the Bugged Out thing, that was like a wedding. That was pretty weird, that thing.
To paint the picture, you know, I'm sure I wasn't there. Maybe you guys weren't there because you're here in Bristol. But paint the picture. What was happening?
Well, you know, where a wedding where like there's like everything clashes and mixes, but basically there's like 40 DJs who had to pick up 5 records, 5 of their kind of favorite records, and that was like that for like 5 hours, which was kind of an interesting car crash, I thought. It was good fun. Actually, the best moment of that, and you know, it was Jack Master playing happy hardcore, you know, which I thought was at least quite ballsy because, you know, after a while you got a little bit fed up with things being, you know, even me, I thought, like, when I finished something, that was a bit boring. That was a bit like, oh, you know, but it was an interesting thing. I actually thought before getting there that it was going to be way worse because, you know, the place was great. It was actually, I don't know, it was a bit, it's a bit of a reunion, you know. It's like an old people's home or something like that. Well, it's there 25 years.
I'm not sure if you heard that. He just said it was like an old people's home.
Yeah, well,
you did kind of mumble that.
Well, yeah, well, I just don't want them to be I'm going to get quoted on that. But then no, but that was the whole point. You know, it was that 25 years. Everybody who played there had to pick up 5 records, and yeah, I thought it was quite fun, interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I guess fairly soon we'll put it out to questions to you guys. So again, like, you know, feel free to ask whatever comes to mind. Anything. Yeah. But I wondered maybe if there's something else that we could hear, whether it's like maybe a remix you've done recently or something else that's going to be coming out, or something else that we can hear of you.
I mean, there's the It's a Fine Line album, which is a project I've got with Tim Harris that I've been working on now for far too many years. I mean, we did loads of things in an album. I did other things. It was an ongoing affair. You know, we've got a studio together. The album is ready. Sadly, you can't hear it because we don't want to leak it now. So I'll play something that we did like a couple of years back. But it was just to say that, you know, don't think ever that it's quick. I mean, it can be. Sometimes it is. You know, you can make a great record in one day, and sometimes you can make a record that I don't even know if it's great, and it's going to take you 10 years. It doesn't really matter. And it also doesn't really matter what the record sounds like as long as you like it. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to this. Do you like it? You know, are you trying to please people? I mean, if you do that, you might as well work in advertising or something like that. You know, that's a different job. You know, you need to like your records. They might be a bit shit. They might be a bit weird. You know, you might not even be sure other people will like it. I would say that if you like it, you know, and I'm really the worst critic, and that's quite often the case with artists. They're the worst. Most of the time I don't even play my own records. You know, we're very hard on ourselves. At least I am, and I know quite a few others that are. And so the most important thing, if you like it, you know, it's good. You know, rest, you know, doesn't really count, you know. I think, and also sincerity, if you like it and if it goes through the record, I think people will hear it. Maybe I'm a bit optimistic, angelic on that. But, you know, same with DJing, you know. If you're a bit sincere, you know, it helps.
So what are we going to hear?
Well, that's a track. That's it was released on Compact, and it's kind of representative of where we're at, or where we were at that point, which is how to make a dance record that is not a dance record, or the other way around. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know. You'll tell me.
Dance, not dance, I think is a phrase.
this might sound really bizarre as a record, but actually it was like the one we sold the most, and like it got a catwalk. So you never know. You never know. No, just stick to what you want to do. No, that would work.
So you're saying that it's a fine line album that will be coming out towards the end September is kind of in the realm, not like this, but in the realm of the same space.
It's in the realm of like no realm of I don't even know anymore. It's been too long now. It's not a straight house record, but at the same time, I've never made a straight house record. When I did one in '96,
that would be the most shocking thing you could possibly do.
No, I actually did one in '96, that's quite a funny story. That it was a big hit at DC 10 2 years ago, and I did that in '96, which actually kind of made me really sad.
So what was this record and why did it make you sad?
Oh, no, I'm not telling you that. No, it's just really bizarre. It was actually the first record I ever made. And I don't know, suddenly, it was only like for 1 year. It's not, a big hit. But it was played on a regular basis and people would sit down on DC-10 on that really bad house record I made in '96. See, there you go.
You see, you're covering even the most straightforward of strange bases.
But that's as long as you didn't try, that's all right.
So, do we have any questions? Is there anything you would like to know? And where's the spare microphone?
Wow.
It's coming up the stairs. So we've got a question at the back.
Hi. Apart from Andrew and Errol, who you mentioned, who is your favourite DJ?
Oh, God. I'm going to have to give names. My favourite DJ, dead or alive? Either. Well, I'll skip on the dead because there's too many. I'd say if you want a good, quality for money, I'll go for the not famous one, I think probably my favourite DJ that people wouldn't think of is Marc Pignol, who used to be the resident at Nitsa in Barcelona, who works with John Talbot as part of Invern. It's a bit like a horse race. If you 20 to 1 kind of guy, really, really, really good though, You can get him for quite cheap at the moment, but I don't think it'll last.
So your very own racing tip there.
Yeah, there you go.
Thrown in for free.
I mean, there's too many, and it also, as I always say, it's a very hard question to answer that because there's different DJs for different times, moods, eras of my life as well. I mean. Like the guys from the Boccaccio, when I used to go out there when I was really young, they were incredible for me at the time. I've actually tried to listen to tapes now, and it's fairly horrible. So there you go. It's don't idolize this or that. Also, there's always a bad day and a good day for a DJ. And funnily enough, it's not always. It doesn't always relate. For instance, sometimes people say, "Oh, wow, I loved your set," and I think I actually hated it. And sometimes it's the other way around. So, don't idolize him. I mean, there's a lot of good DJs around. A lot. More and more actually. I'm not part of the pessimist, camp. I think there's a lot of good DJs and a lot of good music around.
You just got to find it, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Who else has a question?
Hi. I just wondered if you had a word for Andrew Weatherall. I've always kind of been quite intrigued.
Again?
Yeah, and again. Just quite intrigued for you, but between your relationship, I've always sort of seen you guys, or him, as almost like a sort of kindred spirit. Yeah. As far as you're concerned. And I'm just wondered, how you guys met and the sort of genesis of your relationship, really, because I have no idea.
That's actually a very good question. Because it's not often actually that I talk about. I mean, it's weirdly, it's probably because of the tats, because of me moving to London. It became a kind of known fact. And Actually, I've met Andrew fairly recently, probably about 10 years ago. But, you know, I don't come from dance music. In France, it's a bit different than here. In France, if you're into music or underground music, and especially dance music, 90% of the people from my age, they came from black music, soul, funk, disco, hip-hop. You know, I didn't. I came from indie. I'm a cold wave guy, basically. You know, so Andrew was important in the late 80s and early 90s because he bridged the gap for me. But I didn't know him. You know, I mean, I remember seeing him. You know, he won't like it if I say that. But I mean, the first time I actually met him, you won't remember that. But he had long blonde curly hair, a white vest, and leather black trousers. So there we go, you know. But we only met formally, and he only became a friend, you know, fairly recently. So, yeah, it was a very important guy for me to make me understand something that I had grasped but not formulated, that indie, rock, and dance and things, it didn't matter. Because in France, it does matter. You're either into rock or you're into funk and soul. In England, it didn't. And that kind of, you know, I mean, he's not the only one, you know, like Happy Mondays or even Stone Roses or things like that, you know, things that made it sound a bit naff. They were really, really important at the time.
Thank you. We've got time for another couple of questions if anyone has anything to ask. Or are you just scared?
Oh. No, you shouldn't be scared.
Don't be scared. So if there's nothing else anyone who asks, obviously you can come and ask kind of afterwards in person.
Privately,
just,
private
you know,
questions.
Sure. Come and have a chat. And in which case, really, we should just say a very big thank you.
No worries. Pleasure. Thank you.